My husband and I have 3 kids, a baby, a toddler, and young grammar school age. My husband has a high-profile job, which means he's gone often. I work a regular 9 to 5. We originally used daycare for our oldest, but my middle was born right when the global issue began, so we hired a nanny. She originally worked when I did, but by the time baby came around, I was very overwhelmed doing baths and bedtime on my own, on top of developing postpartum depression. After a breakdown, we spoke with the nanny and she agreed to adjust her hours, so she's helping me with dinner, bath and bed. We've gotten close over the past 6 months doing this. In many ways, she's become like a third parent to the kids. She's so good with them. We've created a routine that works well. I tend to the baby during bath and bed. She handles the older 2. It's a nice rhythm and my mental health has improved. My husband isn't travelling all the time, but most nights he isn't even home for dinner and bed. He will help me on weekends when he's home, but because he's gone so often, he's reluctant to be firm with the kids. There are times when he's come home when our nanny is there. He tries to help her with bath and bed, but allows the boys to roughhouse, lets them break the routine, and it seriously throws them off and delays bedtime. My nanny shared with me she feels awkward. She doesn't want to undermine her employer, but it makes her job harder. But my husband also doesn't want her to go home when he arrives, as he says he can't handle it alone. I told him that if that's the case, he must defer to the nanny and follow her lead. She knows our boys best and she has to deal with the aftermath when they don't listen and give her a hard time. My husband feels that she's just an employee and he's the dad. His salary does pay for her. However, I don't think this is fair to her. I told him that he follows her lead for bed and bath or he doesn't help at all. He told me I was allowing the nanny to take over and replace him. Am I the idiot? Edit. The roughhousing is to the point where they get hurt and or create hazards for everyone in the household. The tub isn't playtime. Yes, there are toys, but they can't wrestle, jump on each other or try to jump in and out of the tub. That's a safety issue. The other night, my middle son busted his lip because my husband was letting him jump in and down in the tub. You are the idiot. Dad supports all of you all and also doesn't get to see kids often, and you didn't make it seem like it was a choice but more of a maintenance of lifestyle. Dad is paying her salary, and while yes, nanny should be treated as a member of the family, the dad should be able to have fun with his kids. Yeah, it's not ideal and dad should 100% not make this an all-time thing, but when your kids are grown, they'll value the memories with their father. Once a week or so, especially on weekends, of breaking bedtime is nothing compared to your kids' happiness. Not the idiot. Your husband doesn't want a parent. Instead, your husband wants to be the fun-time uncle who comes in, rolls everyone up, dishes out sweets, makes sure they don't make their bedtimes, and then dips out when the children start having unpleasant reactions to the disruption. I'm feeling salty on OP's behalf. My husband feels that she's just an employee and he's the dad. Wow, just wow. Nannies are employees, but they straddle a unique line because a good nanny is part of the children's family. By his scale, a doctor is also an employee, and he would disregard the doctor's instructions because he knew better. He's trying to Disney dad his way out of his guilt over being a mainly absent parent. Instead, he needs to actually take responsibility for putting the kids to bed if he wants to disrupt the schedule. Exactly, this is the crux of your situation. Horseplay and roughhousing are very important for your children's development. If dad wants to take over and play hee-haw, he can do that well, that's great. But he can't take over, create a mess, and then have the nanny come to put out the fire. If the nanny takes care of business, we play by her rules. If dad is taking care of business, then we can play by his. My husband has a daughter from a previous relationship, Maddie, teen. Before I even met my husband, Maddie's mother moved abroad. Maddie decided to go with her. My husband and I have been married for 10 years and we have a pre-tween daughter, Abby. Maddie visits us for the whole summer and 2 weeks in the winter. We go to her when Abby is on spring break. We obviously save big family trips for when Maddie is with us. Same with any other once-in-a-lifetime event. However, my husband is consistently reluctant to do anything without Maddie. I tried to be patient, but we can't do anything throughout the year until she gets there. An example, we live near a water park. We have season passes and take Maddie all throughout the summer, but my husband refuses to go until Maddie comes to stay with us, and he doesn't want Abby to go as it's unfair. I've tried discussing this with him, but he won't budge. Sometimes I win him over, but then he complains that Maddie isn't there. Abby loves Taylor Swift, who was going to be in the area for a limited time before Maddie arrived. My mom somehow scored us tickets, and Abby was so excited. My husband said it wasn't fair because Maddie also loves Taylor Swift and she doesn't get to go. I said I'd take both girls to another concert during the summer, as there are going to be a few other artists that I know Maddie likes in the area. My husband said it still wasn't fair and tried to ban Abby from going. Because I know it will be asked, it's not possible for Maddie to fly out for the concert. She still has school and important exams that can't be missed. I put my foot down and said that life isn't always fair. Maddie lives in another country. She's going to miss out on things. It's unfair to ask Abby to give up fun opportunities because Maddie can't come. I pointed out that Maddie gets to do fun things with her mom and Abby isn't there, which I think is completely fair. My husband said that's different because his ex isn't Abby's mom, but he's Maddie's dad. Eventually he could see I wouldn't give up and said yes to the concert. My mom, Abby and I attended and we had a great time. It was Abby's first concert and she loved it. My husband said I bullied him into this and that if Maddie didn't get to go, Abby shouldn't. Maddie is disappointed she didn't get to go but seems happy for her sister. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The longer this behaviour continues, Abby will start to feel like Maddie is more important to their dad. He's trying so hard to make sure Maddie doesn't miss out that he's making Abby miss out. Maddie has her life with her mum and her dad, and what? Abby is supposed to sit around and put parts of her life on hold, missing out on experiences and chances to learn and grow in the meantime? Don't think so. Your husband needs to reassess how he's handling things, or this could really harm Abby's future relationship with both him and her sister. Yep. He is going to destroy their sister relationship. Also, Maddie is a teenager and quite possibly has her own social life. She's mature enough to understand that Abby will get to do fun things with and without her, just like how she will get to do fun things with her mom without Abby. The husband is being delusional, and he's also not exactly treating Maddie as her age. He's complaining and crying about how it's unfair, whilst failing to consult his daughter about how she feels because she can express that on her own. Also, do we believe that Maddie doesn't get to do anything while at her mom's house? It seems like this is pretty clear favoritism. I think that every kid eventually says, "You never let me do anything," when growing up. For Abby, that is totally true. Maddie will be an adult in a few years. Her father is going to be rather surprised when she chooses someone else to be in her life rather than him. Abby will probably cast him off as well. Over the last 3 years, I worked my butt off to lose 120 pounds and I look and feel amazing. I've been obese for almost my whole childhood and adulthood and it feels almost like life has finally begun. I posted my before and after on Facebook because I'm a dinosaur at heart, and I got a message shortly after from Len, my friend's girlfriend. Len is over 300 pounds, which, I don't recommend it, but if that's your choice, then whatever. She also claims that she's an atypical anorexic who gains weight because she only eats 500 calories a day. That is blatantly not true, but not my circus or monkeys. Len said that it was very inappropriate to post a weight loss before or after without a warning because it could cause a relapse in people with EDs, and that if I absolutely had to post it, I should make it an album with a black cover photo and a warning so that people would have to click through to see the actual photo. The message also contained a long and unscientific rant about my personal choices that are not super relevant here but didn't do much to get me in the mood to make these accommodations. So I told her that I was going to go ahead and post whatever I wanted to my own personal Facebook. If she didn't like seeing it, she should probably unfollow me. I guess that was a declaration of war because she absolutely blew up at me and dragged her girlfriend, my friend, into the mix along with some other mutual friends. And it's a big chaos of, it's no big deal to just hide the photo, me, versus it's no big deal to just unfollow her, Len. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Other people's triggers aren't your problem. It's your profile. You're allowed to celebrate your achievements. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel her hatred toward your post is actually an act of jealousy. You probably don't want to find out. I wouldn't waste another second on this. Unfriend her, block her, and move on. And if you get questioned on why you blocked her, say you didn't want to be responsible for triggering her any further. Great job on dedicating yourself and not placing it on other people. Agree. She is delusional and is just looking for something to argue about. You can't show that you're doing better than me, also I eat the same amount of calories as a toddler and the fat just gets to me through air. I bet she eats 500 calories and drinks 3,500, or don't count the sauces. In all seriousness, a lot of people discount how much they drink and the calories it comes with. A couple of beers at night, a sweet iced tea for lunch, an orange juice or milk for breakfast. Lots of people see that as normal, but it's literally like 600 to 800 calories extra, an entire mega cookie or an entire extra meal every single day. I, 26 male, have been dating Ella, 22 female, for 2 months now. My family is from an Asian background, so most of the food I cook for myself includes peanuts and other nuts because it's an important ingredient in my cultural dishes. I live alone, so I just make my own food for myself, but because of Ella's allergy, I don't make foods with peanuts in them when I know I'm also cooking for her. Her allergy is only reactive if she ingests a good amount of the actual nut and is unaffected by smell, airborne, and small traces of cross-contamination. Recently, I made a dish that contains heavy usage of nuts blended into the curry, so you can't see that they're there, and I left the leftovers in my fridge. Ella came over while I was in the shower. During that time, she apparently went into my fridge, helped herself to a big portion of the curry, and immediately started having an allergic reaction. Luckily, she had her EpiPen and was okay after a few minutes. Still, she absolutely went off on me and kept accusing me of causing her harm. I feel extremely guilty that she had a bad allergic reaction to my food. I apologized profusely and offered to take her to the hospital, but she was just screaming at me the whole time. Finally, she said that if I really cared about her, I should have labeled all my food for her and let her know ahead of time exactly what in the fridge had nuts. I understand that this is extremely scary and important for her health, but at the same time she, 1. Never asked me to label things before, 2. Went into my fridge and helped herself to my food without even asking me, and 3. Got mad at me for cooking my cultural dishes at all because they have her allergen in them. I told her that in the future I'll try to put a sticky note on the containers that have nuts in the food so this doesn't happen again, but that she also cannot blame me for her allergic reaction when she ate my food without even asking me if she could or what was in it. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She is responsible for not eating a dish if she doesn't know what's in it. You don't need to label your food or change your cooking process. She just needs to ask you if something has nuts before eating it. Also, it is kind of a red flag that she was assuming all the food in your home would be peanut-free when you've only been dating for 2 months. As someone with major allergies, it's my responsibility, and mine alone, to ensure the food I eat does not cause me to go into a crisis. What the heck was she thinking? Also, why the blowout to you? She's being careless with her health and a significant idiot to you. Run for the hills, OP. That witch sounds unhinged, entitled, and manipulative. Dude, spoiler alert, she thinks the world revolves around her. Do you want to keep up with this for a moment longer? Let alone a lifetime of putting sticky notes on anything you enjoy eating. It's your apartment, your fridge, your food. She should accept that your own personal space is your personal space. That means you can strip naked, lather yourself in chocolate fudge, roll around in peanuts, and call yourself a Sunday if it pleases you. The more significant issue is that she doesn't live there, and it's unrealistic to expect you to always think of her in your own home. It's her personal responsibility to manage her own allergy. I, female 28, am my brother's teen guardian due to crappy family circumstances. He has a part-time job at a restaurant. On weekdays he works until 10 p.m. I pick him up from work on weekdays because I don't want him taking the bus at that hour. We live in a big city and I worry about him being out at night by himself. I went out of town for a few days for work. My boyfriend agreed to pick up my brother from work when I was gone. He only had to pick him up once. When I got back, I found out that he didn't do it. He said that he forgot, despite my texting him twice that day to remind him. He went to hang out with his friends instead, so when my brother texted him to ask if he was coming, he said that he couldn't because he'd been drinking, so my brother took the bus instead. I asked my boyfriend about it and he said that it wasn't his fault because he just forgot. And it doesn't matter because nothing happened to my brother anyway. He said before that I'm overprotective of my brother. I disagree with that, but I digress. He didn't apologize and instead said I was being ridiculous. My brother would probably be okay if he took the bus every night, but I would rather drive him around than roll the dice on that. The area that we live in isn't exactly safe, and regardless, that's not the point. I asked him to do one thing while I was gone, which he agreed to, and then reassured me that he would do it. I don't believe he actually forgot because he generally doesn't forget to do things when I ask him to, but I suppose I can't be certain of that. We got into a fight about it. He said that I was being irrational, but I don't feel like I was wrong for being upset with him. Not the idiot. He said he would do it and then didn't do it. You even reminded him to pick your brother up and he still didn't do it. In my country, we used to say, your word must be as straight as a line. He showed you he couldn't be trusted. Trust that. This. OP, you just learned that you cannot rely on your boyfriend for something involving the literal safety of your brother. What if he'd been mugged or hurt or worse? I'm leaning toward boyfriend doing this all on purpose to prove to OP that nothing bad will happen and she's being overprotective, and she should listen to him and everything will be fine. OP, you'll probably always be taking on a parental role with your brother, and now you know you can't trust your partner with him. Flash forward 5 years, your small child is at school wondering why daddy didn't come to get them. You find out daddy forgot and went to his friend's house to have beers. Is this the guy you really want to be with? Absolutely. If it was truly an accident, your boyfriend should have been far more apologetic and appalled at his lapse. The major red flag is him saying you are being irrational. That not only discounts your feelings, but it's also basically gaslighting. OP, your brother, a young man aged 16, likely in school full-time and working weekends until 10 p.m, needs support, and you're fantastic for providing that for him. Your boyfriend was an idiot for agreeing to help once, failing to do so, and then acting like you're wrong for caring. Facepalm.